for the first year, I completely failed. And then my third year was when I found the success that really catapulted me to where I am today, which is $25 million in revenue. Your first product's not going to be a winner, and probably your next 3-4 aren't either. Most beginners get too excited and they want to go straight to trying a product out, and then they miss just at around about, again, another $1 million. And then you need to get very good at creative marketing, understanding consumer psychology.
Welcome to another installment of Omnisend Interviews. We're glad you're with us. Today, we welcome Kamil Sattar, an e-commerce entrepreneur and founder and partner in more than 6 companies, ranging from clothing brands to digital marketing. So, Kamil, welcome to the conversation. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Greg, for having me. And also thank you to Omnisend for hosting today's interview.
No, we're super glad you're here and making the time for us. So we've established at this point that I cannot speak today. So this is going to be really good for us as we move through. So, Kamil, let's do a little level setting for the audience who's watching or listening today. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into e-commerce? How long have you been in there? And just kind of walk us through some of those very basics so we can level set.
So I would say I've been in the game since 2015. Now that might sound a bit crazy, but the first time I experienced e-commerce was when I started a buying and reselling luxury shopping company where I would buy luxury goods, sell it to people that didn't have the time or couldn't source them. And I would advertise my business through Instagram. So I'd class that as e-commerce, I think. Then I really started to dig deep in 2017 when I realized that business couldn't get scaled. So then I decided to look online. What other ways can I, scale a business? And then I found an article with like affiliate marketing, Amazon FBA, starting a media agency. And then I found dropshipping. I read the description and I thought, Cam, that sounds like something like you. You want a product, you want less risk. Why not do it? So I decided to take a step. For the first year, I completely failed. Second year, I found a little bit of footing. And then my third year was when I found the success that really catapulted me to where I am today, which is, almost $25 million in revenue. So
I've got multiple questions based on what you said. I will probably forget half of them as we get to that point. First of all, 10 years in e-commerce doesn't seem that way. I've been doing email marketing for almost 20 years. So if you think about that, it's ridiculous. So you mentioned you started this business on Instagram, you figured out it couldn't scale. So kind of 2 questions on this one. Initially, you must have thought you could scale it. So you went in. How soon did you realize it couldn't scale? And what was kind of that tipping point to be like, hey, this isn't going to happen?
Really good question. So that when I realized it couldn't be scaled was when I realized that I'm the one doing all the messaging with the client. And then in terms of sourcing the goods, only I knew how to do that to the level I knew. And then obviously sending the goods to my clients, meeting my clients, because they were high profile people in the UK. They were football players, small TV stars. So like having to drop it off to them, there's only so many hours you can do on the train, in the car. So like you're limited by time. So, eventually when I hit a decent amount of revenue with that business, I realized, unfortunately, it couldn't be scaled. Now you might think, well, 10 years in the game's not long, but for the age I'm only 25 years old. So like that meant I started. Yeah. So I started when I was 15 years old. So yeah, that's why I said it's quite crazy.
That's pretty good. And then as you move through, you start drop shipping. You said you failed the first year, and really the third year is when it took off. So can you define what failure meant?
Failure meant I found a product. I tried it on Facebook ads. And it didn't do anything. It just, wouldn't do anything. And then I'd keep trying new products and new products and new products. And I think it was the 14th product in, nothing happened. And then it was either my 15th or 14th product. And I was like, here we go. It's an iPhone privacy screen protector. And it just connected with Facebook. It just worked. The ads would run. I'd get sales. I'd be able to scale, and it just, like I said, it just did really, really well. And I think that's the problem most dropshippers don't understand is your first product's not going to be a winner, and probably your next 3-4 aren't either.
I find this fascinating because you didn't have the previous dropshipping experience. You went through and you said, hey, it's like 14th, 15th product that was successful. After, say, 8, 9, 10, why'd you keep going?
Don't get it wrong. I was tempted to stop because at the partner, now my wife, but back then my girlfriend, she was like, Cam, like you're losing a lot of money here. You know, I had my mom and dad say, Cam, you know, you had a nice amount of money saved up and now you've just blown through it all trying these stupid online products. When are you going to call it a day? And I would just see on YouTube these guys still making money doing it. And I was like, there's got to be some legitimacy behind it if these guys are showing you these results. So I just carried on. And I was, you know, the funny thing is, I did say to myself, if I can't get past the 25 mark in terms of products, testing them, I will call it a day.
Okay, that's fair. I think most people after they got through 10 would be like, all right, I gave it a fair shot. Can't crack it. I'm going to chalk this up to a loss and just kind of find the next.
But you know what it is, Greg? You know what it is, Greg? Why I carried on and I wasn't ashamed of how many times I failed, because I realized that is it the business or is it me? And I realized later on after I let go of my ego that it was me that was the problem, not the industry. So that's sometimes also a problem.
So what do you mean by that? Was it that you weren't spending the time to like research and figure out the things, just thinking, hey, I know how to do this and that's good enough? Or was it something else that you said was ego?
Okay, so the ego came from me starting selling products in a niche that I'm very passionate about, which is technology, phones. So I'm already passionate about it. I thought I knew everything there could be about it. So when I tried to advertise those products, I just thought I'm selling to myself. It's easy. I know what to say, how to do it. And I realized that the people out there that are going to buy it are from different age groups, different backgrounds. They're having different issues. They have different buying reasons. And then when I figured all that out and then put it all together, it all made sense.
That's good. Thanks for the vulnerability there. How'd you figure that out? Was it a lot of YouTube? I know you mentioned YouTube and you were watching people saying, hey, they're doing it. There's something here. Yep. Is that how you were learning or was that as well?
No. So the main way I learned was a local networking group I found on an app called Meetup. A lot of people might have heard of Meetup. There was another one before Meetup that came out. It was Facebook groups as well. I would come to these local events where other entrepreneurs in the space would meet up. And I met a guy called Ashley Walker, and he said he would take me under his belt and teach me. And he said to me, Cam, like, look, at the end of the day, you are clearly the issue, not the business. Let's figure out where you're going wrong. And once I showed him my attempts of trying, he said, look, you've clearly gone wrong here, 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 here. Redo it again without these issues and see how it goes.
What do you take away? What's your biggest lesson from that? What did you take away the most?
I would say that try to calm your excitement as a beginner, because most beginners get too excited and they want to go straight to trying a product out. And then they miss the main part, which is who's your audience? What do they do? What's your avatar? What market are you selling in? Why are they buying your product? What offer are you giving them? And they skip all that because they want to get to the end phase, because they think the end phase correlates with the output, which is income, right?
So, okay, so you move through successful drop shipping, you kind of figure out the methodology, if you will, educate yourself, you're moving through, you're making some money now. I mentioned it during the intro that you're doing a bunch of stuff, right? You're partnering companies, you're running stuff. Talk to us about kind of next steps from there. Where'd you go after you became successful, and kind of walk us through the next kind of stage of your career, if you will.
So 2018 to 2019 was what I call my breakthrough year, like period. That's when I was really like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm a good drop shipper. I think I can make life-changing money now. And then at the end of 2019, during Q4, I was able to achieve $1 million in revenue. Now that's not profit, that's revenue. I think the profit I made from that was about 100,000, maybe a little bit less. And then the next year was another good year for me, where I just did around about, again, another $1 million. And then COVID happened and I was like upset, because I was like, Cam, you eventually figured it out and now the world's going to just shut you down. I was like, damn. And then after, I think it was a month, everything just started to go crazy. People were buying online. Companies were online. Furlough, stimulus money, printing money was going on. And during that time, I started to run loads more drop shipping stores. And I was just in shock at how much money I made, because I already knew what to do, but the demand increased. So the demand was increasing, meaning consumers online buying products, and the the saturation was slowing down because a lot of drop shippers would quit because they were like, it's over. So I was able to facilitate the demand and make loads of money during 2021, 2022. And then near the end of that period, I said to myself, I need to start running some brands now. Like drop shipping's good. You can make, for 6 to 18 months, some good money, but then they usually die out and you can't do much with it. So then I started transitioning into some white label brands. I started partnering with fashion brands. I even created my own brands and partnered with other successful drop shippers. And then that's really where it's slowly taken me over there. And since then till now, I've sold and exited some of those companies. Some of them I've just walked away with a cash buy. So that's where I am now.
So it's interesting you said that, because I was going to ask about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But we can jump to that now. You answered part of it for me. So I've talked to multiple people just on interviews like this, just personal network and stuff, that they've all been successful drop shipping.
Yeah.
But none of them do it today, right? They made their money. They do it. They talk about it. They'll guide other people on do it. But they all have, like, a lot of them have ventured to, like you said, starting their own brands. So they have a brand thing. They're doing private label stuff. Why do you think, maybe this is specific to you, but why do you think so many people who have had success drop shipping have kind of phased their way out of it into like traditional e-commerce, if you will?
Because you can build equity, right? Like you can build a real equity in terms of a brand. A drop shipping store, you can sell them, but they're very hard and you don't get much money for them. But when you're building a legitimate e-commerce brand, a real identity, you can sell that. It's classed as, value of equity. So like you can sell these e-com brands. Like look at Gymshark, look at some of these huge other names in the industry. They're worth lots of money. So, if you're going to put all that effort into a drop shipping store, why not try and put it into a brand that over time, again, like I said, will build a lot of value and equity.
Makes tons of sense. So thanks for that.
No problem.
All right. So you're going through, you launch these things. I always say, especially now, right? You have Shopify, BigCommerce. You can launch a website in 20 minutes, right? Get the thing going. So it's easy to launch. It's hard to grow, hard to scale. What advice would you have for people who are just starting out now, maybe less than a year, say not drop shipping, but just, their own e-commerce store? What advice would you give to them for how to actually scale to the next stage of growth? It doesn't have to scale to 1 million, but to grow, from point A to point B?
I think they have to understand two principles. Number one, that your understanding of attention in the market is key. So everyone now fights for attention, meaning that can you grab somebody's attention on TikTok, Facebook, one of these media platforms? So how good is your creatives? How many creatives are you trying? What angles are in those creatives? What emotions are in those creatives? Who are those creatives for? I ask a lot of e-commerce business owners, okay, this creative you've made for your advertisement, who are you trying to serve in that advertisement? They're like, my core audience. I'm like, okay, so who's your core audience? Like which group? You have to segment these people out, because not the same people will buy, a product online. There's a different reason why they'll buy it. So if you're serving a generic ad to, a group of people where it won't resonate with them, you got an issue. So the big one is you need to get very good at creative marketing, understanding consumer psychology. How does that translate into creatives? So I would say if your creatives are very, very good and you know who they're for, you will do very, very well. And you need to get good at creating a lot of them. Like we do 20 a week, 20 new creatives every single week. And with the power of AI, there's no excuse. There really is no excuse to not be able to do that. And then the next principle is, how good is your offer on your website? Is your offer just a discount, or have you got a free gift or free gifts? We always do a free digital download, and we also give away a free product that we give it perception that it's worth, let's say $30, but in real terms, it's worth $3, but we give it away because we want to wow people with the offer. Oh, okay, imagine this. You're buying this iPhone today, Greg. Would you rather buy it from me and I'll give you a free phone case and a free video download teaching you how to set it up? Or would you buy it from another place where they just sell you the iPhone?
Yeah, I want the value adds with it.
There you go. Most humans want value adds, 100%. So a lot of e-commerce business owners I speak to, they don't do value adds.
Oh, that's good. That's good explanation for it. All right. So one wanted to ask you about this AI tool. So you said you do 20 creatives a week, but we've got, obviously AI can do a million things for it. Do you have a favorite AI tool to help you scale the content?
Wow, I use loads. So I use CapCut Commerce. Not many people know about that. So CapCut, but the Commerce version where it helps you with lots of scaling. I like to use FreePick. I like to use Arca ads. I like to use ChatGPT 4.0, the new version. That's amazing to use. That I don't know. There's so many. I just can't. They're the main ones I use on a daily basis, but there's just so many you can use.
There really are. So that's perfect. It's overwhelming, right? So I mean, you go to GitHub and see the list of them, and you just keep on scrolling. Right?
There's so many, and they're only getting better. So
yeah. So as you've obviously AI is making things easier to scale, produce content, do whatever you need to do, even just copy edit stuff for you if you need to.
Yeah.
You mentioned we need to kind of micro segment customers now in our marketing. So have you noticed, it's obviously been a change. I think social media plays into this, but just personally, right? Your e-commerce businesses and brands you're consulting, what type of changes are you seeing with consumers? Because we've talked about segmentation for 20 years, but really it's been hard to scale for businesses to consistently segment. But it seems to be becoming a lot more of an expectation now, but companies are still struggling with it. So what are you seeing from a consumer behavior change perspective? And then maybe as a follow-up to that, your personal businesses, what do you find the most challenging part of kind of changing consumers based in where we sit now in 2025?
I would say consumers aren't stupid. They not in a rude way, but at one point they were very easy and vulnerable to sell to. But nowadays, with everything that's happened in the world, they're not vulnerable as much as they used to be. So if you're just doing, your basic principles, they're going to see it. They're going to be like, this is an ad. They're not trying to benefit. They're not trying to benefit my life. They're just trying to sell to me. So for example, we get a lot of success of running, ads to a sales letter on a blog. So we'll try and direct people. So imagine a Facebook ad coming up. Let's say, actually, you know what, Greg, I'll try and make it personal. What problem or what issue do you face on a long-term scale in your life that you'd like to solve?
I got to remove health out of here, but let me try to give you a product here. So I play softball, right?
Okay.
Just got a new bat, but bats go dead over time, right? I want to be a better softball player, so there's a lot that goes with that. So I don't know, bats.
Okay, so the product is the bat. The problem is it always breaking and getting better with it, right?
Yep.
So if you see an ad on Facebook, it's not trying to sell you a product, but it's trying to inform you on why bats break and how you can be a better player. Are you more likely to click on that ad and read a blog that explains why that happens?
100%.
Instead of an ad coming up trying to sell you the bat.
Yeah, 100%. Always doing it.
So What a lot of people are now doing, the smart guys in the space, is they're running ads on Facebook that take you to a blog. And then on that blog, it will obviously tell you the reasons why, but then there'll be a sales value letter on there, a VSL. And then obviously you can direct to buy the product. And then because you got your pixel, you got your tracking, you can retarget those people after you've warmed them up on a harder sell on Facebook. They've seen your blog, maybe now try and sell them that ad on the actual platform.
Excellent. Good examples. Content you just mentioned too, I think it makes really good content for, say, a welcome series, so brand new email subscribers, right? Go in there, checking out bats. What do I need to know to help guide me? So you mentioned that. Even post-purchase messaging, right? So I buy the bat. Hey, how to improve your swing or how to adjust your swing for a 28 ounce versus a 27 ounce or front loaded. So I love the example you mentioned because you can use that across automations a couple different ways to kind of continue adding those value adds or entice purchases.
And you've got to understand, Greg, why do most online businesses or why do most businesses go bankrupt or out of business?
Well, either bad money management or they just don't get repeat customers.
There you go. Repeat customers.
It's a one-time thing.
You've smashed it. Repeat customers, because let's be honest, what's more expensive, getting a new customer or reselling to the same person? Which one's more cheaper?
Cheaper. You're selling to the same person, right?
Exactly. So if you're having to keep going like this, in and out, it costs a lot of money. The problem with most ecom people is they don't want to, after they've received that payment, the Shopify notification shows them that sale. That customer in their mind is done. Wow, I've got my money. Goodbye. But their mindset should be, how can I serve these people with emails through Omnisend on, how to look after the product they just bought, how to use that product, how to get the maximum benefit of it. Don't just send them emails trying to upsell them on stuff. Just give value to them. Build a connection. Don't just try and keep selling to them. That's the problem.
Hey, right. So when I was doing consulting, I used to have this debate with clients all the time. They come in and say, "Hey, we want to do a lapsed purchaser series. We need to get these customers back." I was like, "No, you got to do the post-purchase series first, right?" So what we're talking about, we'd have these debates, and I would go, "If it's lapsed purchase, they've churned already, right? So you might." Spend this time trying to pull people back. In the meantime, people are churning while you're creating the series. To the post-purchase, you stem the flow, and then you target these people after, right? So you want to. That's how I would always approach it. I still would approach it that way, but
LTV is king.
What you're talking about.
LTV is king. Lifetime value is king in this space.
I want to transition while we're on email, talk about how you use email. But are there specific tactics that you have done with your companies from an email perspective to help encourage higher lifetime value?
Wow. So the one that works the best, in my opinion, is competitions and giveaways, but like legitimate ones. And in terms of giveaways, you give away as much as you can to the majority of the people. So most people think that a giveaway is, let's say you've got an email list of 10,000 people, hypothetically. A giveaway could be a product on your website. But most people run giveaways where only the one person will win out of the 10,000. So those are the 9,990 people are going to feel like they're not getting anything. So what you've got to do is you've got to try and give everyone something, at least, that's valuable. But then obviously give 10 people a really good part of the giveaway, whatever it may be. It could be like a free product, could be some cash back, whatever it may be. But you've got to make sure that everyone wins in that scenario. So giveaways, constant giveaways, competitions, those typically work the best. So like if you're selling a dog product, this is one of the ones we did back in the day. So we were selling a dog product and we would email our list saying we're running a competition. Whoever can upload the cutest dog video wins the free dog bed, like the free dog bed. And we'd get people submitting their videos constantly to us.
So when you say everyone wins, like what's an example of something that is not the kind of quote unquote grand prize, but something that you could give away to those 9,990 people that would count?
Here's one. So let's go back to the dog example. So let's say they're dog owners. We could then give them a full digital download or a video series. So again, this is where you got to level up. Don't be shy to get in front of the camera. So make a video series on how to teach your pet how to do these tricks, for an example. So you sell them a digital download where you're making a video teaching them how to look after their pets, or do a PLR. Go on a PLR website if you don't want to. Get somebody else, just rebrand it as your own, and people win.
Awesome. Love the example. How else are you guys using email marketing, or have you done it before? Like, walk us through how you view email marketing, how you're using it, and kind of where you think it fits in today's very widespread mix of marketing channels.
First off, I want to say I use Omnisend. So like, I'm not just saying this for the sake of saying this. We do use Omnisend, and we've used a lot of platforms. We've used ActiveCampaign, we've used MailChimp, we've used them all, and my favorite is still Omnisend. So that's amazing. So number one, we use email marketing in every way you could imagine. Welcome flows, active cart recovery, upsells, win back in customers. We also create segment lists, so like we'll just send certain emails to certain lists. How important do I think email marketing is? I think it's a mandatory. If you're running paid ads without email marketing, you are stupid. Why are you stupid? Because every dollar you spend on an advertisement, you're wasting that dollar if you don't have email marketing set up, because your email marketing is designed to protect those dollars that you're spending. Because even if worst case scenario, somebody just enters their email but doesn't buy, at least you've got their contact information. So your dollar hasn't gone to waste.
Yeah, you can use it for acquisition, right? Just
Exactly.
Not even purchase acquisition, just list growth acquisition, where you can do direct marketing, right? 'Cause I have this conversation with people all the time. Is, if you're doing, say, TikTok ad or Instagram ad or whatever it is, and you get into your site and you're not collecting email or mobile numbers from them, right? You're just going to retarget that person on social again, right? So it's kind of like throwing good money after bad, if you will.
Email marketing has been around for the longest time, and every single year it proves to everyone on the statistical stats that the companies release, that it's still a powerhouse. It's not going anywhere.
I was just looking at numbers today on Q1 performance comparing to last year, preparing for something. And the open rate last year, 2024, the open rate finished at like 26.6%. Q1, we're at 28% already. So almost a third of people you send an email to open it now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, open rates are going up across the board. So it's just, again, it goes back to what I was saying to you before. Like if you do email marketing the right way, you got the right setups, you don't just spam them. If you got people signing up and you spam them, then the open rates are going to go down because it goes to spam, whatever. But across the board, open rates and email marketing is doing really, really well.
Very good. What are some of your other favorite channels? So obviously there's paid social, right? But do you have preferred platforms you like over one another?
For us, we stick to the basics. Facebook ads, Google ads for not all brands. I wouldn't recommend it for all brands. Google ads is like a backbone. So you've got volatility. So you've got volatile advertisement platforms, which is your Facebook, your TikToks. Google is more stable, but it doesn't give you the same returns. So you might be able to do really good numbers consistently, but you just can't scale it, which is good because Facebook and TikTok, they're choppy, very, very up and down. 1 month you can do good, 1 month you can do bad. So those are the three ones that I typically stick to in our businesses.
Excellent. And to put I know you have multiple businesses, so it's going to be a tough question to ask you, but for context here, can you maybe pick one of the businesses where you're using those channels and just kind of give the audience a quick background about who your actual audience is?
Yeah, so a good example is the clothing brands that we run. So we have a few streetwear brands and we have a few outerwear brands. So Google Ads is a core component for all of those. We will always run Google Ads for them. Facebook ads do extremely, extremely well. More image ads, not video ads, like carousel ads, image ads, catalog ads do well. And then in terms of scalability, Facebook's amazing for scaling. Google, again, is very good for stability. TikTok ads doesn't really do well for fashion for us. Personally, it just doesn't do very well.
Well, why do you think that is?
Because it's a luxury brand. They're both luxury brands, and people on TikTok are more looking for a TikTok shop, cheap $2-3 from product from Temu. So
makes sense. You want to do a shameless plug? Throw out a couple of your brand names.
Yeah, so I used to be involved in Solital, which is a streetwear brand. I've parted ways with that now, but that did very, very well. We grew really quickly, 7 figures and beyond. We work with some of the biggest names in the industry. If you just go on the Instagram page, you'll see the kind of people we work with. Fad Closet's another one. I've just launched a new brand with my wife, which is something that I'm passionate about, which is called Kameska. It's a modest wear brand for women. So for any women out there that want to remain modest, awesome. We are serving to them. It doesn't matter what religion they are, what ethnicity they are, but what women, the problem with today's age is you go on Zara, you go on H&M, there's nowhere on there that says modest wear. It just doesn't exist.
Okay. That's awesome. So, love the free shout outs. See, told you I can't talk today. So Kamil, how about perception of social channels? You talked about different audiences, right? Use Google for some, but it's not for everyone. Mm-hmm. How do you feel like the changes or trends on social platforms from a paid perspective? Do you see them going any particular way, or has it been relatively stable for the last couple of years?
Facebook's the leader. Everyone will always copy Facebook. So Meta, whatever you want to call it, Meta ads, Facebook ads, they're the king, will always remain the king. Everyone else follows, copies, takes a little bit from it, blah, blah, blah. So for example, Facebook have their new feature called Advantage Shop, which is based like Google Performance Max. It's very similar. Facebook's really prioritizing that. They're also prioritizing creative. So they don't really care about the settings you put on there, like country and interest targeting. They care more about your creative. They use the creative to find out everything else. So if your creatives are bad, they're not going to be working very well, because Facebook will use whatever's used in that creative to who they serve. TikTok is very good if you're selling under $100 products in terms of you're selling it at that price. You can do really well on TikTok, but the only problem with TikTok is usually the success rate is slower, and it's not slower, but it's shorter. Success rate is short, so you can't do as well for longer periods of time. And then Google's very, very good for luxury brands, clothing brands, home decor brands, high keyword brands. But I would say always Facebook's king, in my opinion.
Awesome. It's funny because Facebook, it's kind of like email marketing, right? You talk about it, it's kind of this quote unquote old, right? Or established is probably a better word like to use for it, right? When you have Instagram, which obviously is owned by Facebook/Meta, but TikTok, right? Snapchat, you had all these platforms come out. Some, took off more than others. Facebook was always like, it was like email. It was like kind of left for dead. And everyone I talk to, they still go, I don't care what anyone says. I still love Facebook, right? So it's one of these things that guys just hanging around, but people still love it.
People hate on Facebook. I remember everyone was like, that's where all the mom and dads are. The iOS 14 thing killed it. The tracking's horrible. The support is horrible. All these, some of it was true, by the way, as in like the support is bad usually. But at the end of the day, it's still giving brands the best return.
Never argue with the results, right? Do you guys use SMS at all for your marketing?
We used to use SMS a lot. We've slowed down on it because of how expensive it's getting, and we're finding that emails are still converting higher than text for us. So we just thought no point.
Very good. Do you sign up for SMS programs from brands?
Just me personally, no.
Yeah. No? How come?
I feel like it's a level of what's the word I'm looking for? It's a level of being too
intimacy?
Close to me. Yeah, that's it. It's just too, it's like the privacy is too much.
Okay.
Because I will look at a text message more than an email in terms of immediacy. So if somebody texts me, I'm more likely to look at it straight away than an email. But I don't want spam or advertisements to be done on there.
Gotcha. But you guys were still having success with it before. It was just cost that kind of drove you away from it, huh?
In 2020, we had a lot of success with it. And then again, like I said, the costs went through the roof, and we just found that emails were just better overall for us.
Yeah. Makes sense. We're obviously seeing a blending of social media or social media platforms, I should say, and e-commerce, right? So TikTok Shop, Facebook has gone through multiple evolutions of sites. Amazon has tried and failed with blending social and commerce. Where do you see it being at? Because I think at some point the TikTok Shop is obviously doing the best at it, but at some point I think these two things are going to be coupled pretty hand in hand. But there's still a lot of challenges. Where do you, looking at the whole picture, you look at it and go, okay, this is where we're at and this is where we're going?
In terms of social media platforms like TikTok, sorry, I'm not sure what you mean.
Just the combination of how coupled is e-commerce and social media from becoming one, like TikTok Shop, right? You go right from there, you're buying on the actual social platform. Social companies, e-commerce companies, they've tried to do these and fail, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying now, and it's a very, very, very good point. So yeah, TikTok has now made it so that they want you to stay on the platform, shop within the platform, and don't leave the platform. It's very obvious that's what they want to do. Are the other platforms going to follow along? Potentially. Because remember, what did I say to you very early on? We're in an attention market. Who can take your attention the longest will get paid the most. So why would platforms want to lose your attention by taking you on an external link if they can keep you on platform? So I think eventually it's just going to get bigger.
Yeah. Any theories about why it's taken so long to really find success with that?
I think it's all to do with technology, man. I just think the tech behind it has now become so seamless where it just feels so good. And I think back in the day, they just didn't have it that seamless.
Yeah. very just one place, but still fragmented, right? Different experiences.
Yeah, it's just I think I remember when they tried it earlier on back in the day. I think it was Facebook catalogs back in the day. It was one of them, and it just didn't feel very nice. The user experience just wasn't there. But today, the user experience is very good.
Looking at your own e-commerce brands, consulting, businesses you do, we'll talk about some of this. If you kind of look forward to the next, say, time frames, you can kind of pick your own time, but like 18 months to say 3 years, where do you see the biggest challenge for e-commerce brands coming?
This is the one I was speaking to my friend about yesterday, which is people spitting out the same junk with AI. So a lot of people are now taking advantage of AI, which is amazing, by the way, but they just give it information, they get a response, and they just go with it. They don't refine it. So you're going to get a lot of junk out on the market right now. AI junk. I call it the AI junk period we're going to go through, where creatives, websites, videos are going to get made with AI, but they're not very good quality.
Challenge for e-commerce brands, because if they, I'm going to put words in your mouth, you can correct me, take away all of it, but I'm a consumer. I see kind of the same quote unquote creative for 4 different brands. Is the fear that I'm looking at that going, like, why am I shopping with you? Like, is it just homogeny that's filling up that middle?
It's what you can do with AI now, and like the barrier to entry in terms of getting a high quality image out of the door is very easy now. So I do think saturation is going to go through the roof in terms of, back in the day, there was an element of, if I've got more money than you, I can get better photography, better lifestyle shots. Creatives can look better. I can hire better influencers to make those videos. But now with the power of AI, everyone can get their hands on fairly good content.
So how do you think an e-commerce brand that's out there today, how do they stand out? Is it just being not relying on it much? Is it just using the human element to tweak the things that AI does to make it more personal?
I think it's the human tweak. And it's like with me, for example, if I ask AI to make me a nice AI image, I won't just take that image and run with it. I'll take it back into Photoshop and readjust a few things that I know need doing. But most people would just take it. Again, the prompts. How many times have you read things online and you're like, that was written with AI? It's so obvious because AI chucks out the same words all the time. So again, like I said, consumers are going to get used to it. And then you've got to stay compliant with these platforms and make a disclaimer that your video was made with AI. And if you don't, it will automatically figure out it was made with AI. So people are going to see your ads on TikTok. They're going to see your ads on Facebook, and it's going to say AI video. So consumers are going to say, well, can I trust this ad because it was made with AI? Is the product what it's described as, or has it been played around with? If that makes sense.
I think that's the most interesting part of it to me when you're talking is the built-in or the inherent trust in the product when you're seeing everything else AI created going,
because it could be manipulated.
Then you start thinking about reviews, you start thinking about all these things, right? You're like, I think it can erode that. To me, that's the most interesting part of that.
That's the problem with AI, the manipulation you can do with it. You can manipulate anything you want.
Kamil, you are on YouTube, right? You mentioned early in the conversation that you were looking at dropshippers on YouTube and being like, hey, these guys are doing it. There's something here. I just need to figure it out. Talk to us a little bit about, if you will, kind of what you do on YouTube. You're at the Ecom King. We'll link it in the description, all that. But talk to us about what you're doing on YouTube and why.
Yeah, nice, man. So my first element of helping out with people back in the day was I joined Facebook groups in the industry. I don't know if you remember, but Facebook groups back in the day were like what Telegram is now or Discord is now. And I would just join loads of dropshipping ecom groups and just help out as much as I could. And people would just reach out to me saying, you know what you're talking about, like, where can I find your info out? And I just said, I don't. And they said, make a Facebook group. So I made my own Facebook group, and people would love it. And they would say, look, Cam, we want you on YouTube now. Go on YouTube. And I was like, no, I'm scared of the camera. I don't think I'm qualified to get in front of a camera. Then I got onto YouTube. And at the time, I looked at content online, and the dropshipping stuff went to it. And the ecom stuff went downhill in terms of creators would gatekeep information. it just wasn't very good. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to start this YouTube channel. And even though I might look bad because the way I come across isn't, professional, or it doesn't seem like I know what I'm doing in terms of being in front of the camera, the value that I'll present to the viewer will shock them that much that they won't care if I make mistakes, if it hasn't been cut very well, if the quality of the video is a little bit on the lower resolution. They'll stay around because the value I'm giving is not heard of without a gate wall. So when I did that, the YouTube channel really did grow very quickly because people realized the value is more important than anything else.
What's your favorite part of it, the doing it?
I think the value again. I know deep down that the amount of value that I give is unheard of. People just don't do it. And even then, I feel like I innovate a lot in the industry in terms of the value I give, the strategies I give are very unique. And yeah, people just love it. And I get a thrill of seeing people's reaction to that. Oh my God, I didn't know that existed. Oh my God, I didn't even know that was available. Like, it's nice to hear that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you have a favorite success story from someone you either met or just talked to on YouTube that kind of needed some help, and then you gave some advice, they flipped it around and reached out and be like, hey, you know what?
Honestly, the amount, because I've been doing YouTube now since 2019, it's the amount of success stories the channel's got is just unreal. But I remember when I traveled the world a few years ago, and I would meet up with subscribers from local areas where I'd go in the world, so like Italy, Asia and stuff like that, and I'd meet up with them and they would tell me in real life. It's more empowering when it's in person than it is on a YouTube reply. They would say, look, you changed my life. This video made me X, Y, and Z. This video got me to do this. And I can't tell you one specific moment because I've had so many of them, and I'm just like, yeah, it's amazing.
That's lovely. It's got to feel great though, right? Making a change in people's lives that trickles down. So that's got to be.
Yeah. And I've never had, ever had one person in real life ever say to me, look, your channel's bad. Like I've never had a bad in-person experience where it's like, you've served a bad service to the community. It's only ever been positive.
Someone's going to be watching this. They're going to be like, you're going to start that trickle down now. People are going to be going just to hit you.
We'll see, man. I don't know. Again, like I said, I'm proud that I haven't got that issue.
I'm going to hit you with the travel question in just a couple minutes here. But as we start to wind down a little bit, I want to ask you, you obviously have e-commerce brands that you're running, you're starting. You just mentioned you and your wife just started one. So I'm going to, this might just be top of mind for you. Mm-hmm. Starting from scratch today, what's the first, 1, 2, or 3 things that you're going to do if you're starting a new e-commerce business?
If I start a new e-commerce business, I want to understand what am I serving to that group of people? What is the goal? Like, what am I trying to serve towards them? Like, for example, with this brand me and my wife just started, we understand that there's a community of women that are struggling to find on these most common fashion websites, fast fashion websites. For example, they have to buy one piece from Zara, one piece from H&M, one piece from Mango, and put it together for it to work. Like, why should women have to go through all that pain? It shouldn't exist. So that's an example. Who are you trying to sell to? What's the reason why? And is there a real reason why they would buy from you? And then the second thing is, how can I be a creative genius within that market? Where have the other brands gone wrong in the messaging towards their consumer? Like, what is it they're doing wrong? Those are the 2 biggest things for me.
So with the first one you mentioned, is it helpful to actually like physically write that down or type it down? Like, hey, this is what I am doing versus just thinking it and saying it either quietly or just to yourself?
I have an iPad, but you can do it on a piece of paper. I have like a mood board of the brand in the middle and what is the reason why. Like, what, Greg, I don't know, you might know about this, but when I first got into this game, my mentor showed me something called the marketing tree. It's a tree and it's got branches, it's got the roots, and it tells you what the fundamentals are of running an e-com brand. And I just stick to that. I got shown it in 2018. It still works today. I'll stick to that method.
Do you have that? Do you have it framed, like printed out or drawn, like aesthetically, and then have it framed in your house?
I have. Oh, it's a good idea. I've got it on my iPad. I've got it like stuck on a post-it note. But honestly, if you don't know about it, type in internet marketing tree. It's a brown tree with like a green background. That will always do wonders. Doesn't matter what year we're in.
Amazing. How about a couple of top tips for being successful? You've kind of talked about a lot of these already, so I'll just kind of have you regurgitate them and break it down to like a simplistic, but top 1, 2, or 3 tips that you think someone needs to be successful.
I think the one that most people won't tell you right now is stay in your own lane. Don't get overwhelmed with online content because, back in the day when I started, there wasn't too much showboating. There wasn't too much kind of like lifestyle selling. But today you can go on Twitter, X, and see kids flexing dashboard numbers, cars, lifestyle, and then you can start comparing yourself to that. Stay in your own lane, ignore the noise, understand that it is a long-term game. And as long as you're willing to accept that, and as long as you're willing to accept the fact that you are going to lose money and you are going to fail, the journey becomes a lot more enjoyable. You're not sitting there like, I've just lost $200 today. Like, I hate this thing. You need to learn to enjoy the experience and learn that even if you're losing money, you're gaining a lot of skills that are worth a lot of money as well. And then the second thing is, again, attention market. How are you going to understand to keep people's attention with your creatives, videos, images, your website, and the message that you're trying to give to these people? They're the 2 biggest things in my opinion.
Awesome. Another question came up as you were saying that here. So I've talked to people about like minimum ad spend on a daily basis, so social media specifically, and they've always given me a number between that. If you are doing a minimum ad spend on, pick a social platform, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
What is the minimum you think on a daily basis so a business realistically needs to spend to see compounding, fruitfulness out of it?
So this is where things can get interesting. Are we on about testing a product to see that it's got proof of concept, or are we on about just trying to do something?
Let's say the product has a proof of concept already for it.
Okay,
but so then let's also say it's competitive, so there's a lot of noise out there.
Okay, so you need to be spending at least $100 to $200 a day.
Okay, awesome. I've got usually 50, but they always they're squeamish with 50, and they're like, you kind of need to be at least at 100 on there. So
I'm not here to lie to you. Like if your product's got proof of concept, you need at least $100 to $200. That's just, that's just it. If you haven't got proof of concept and you're trying to test to see if there's add to carts, is there high CTR? Is my hook rate good? Is my watch time good? $50 a day is more than enough.
Okay, I was just going to ask. So perfect. You mentioned you traveled the world a couple of years ago. How about your favorite place to travel?
Wow, good question. Very good question. It's very hard to say. I like Asia. Asia's cool. Asia's very cool.
I like Asia. And I know, Kamil, okay, particular part of Asia that you like over others that you've been to?
Oh, wow. Japan is very cool. Malaysia is very cool. Singapore is very cool.
Yeah.
So Southeast Asia, I believe.
What do you like about it? That kind of
the culture, the food, the weather, the people. I don't know. All I can say is if you can go, it's amazing. Have you ever been, Greg?
Excellent. I have not. So I have not been to Asia.
Wow,
it's on my list. Haven't made it there yet.
It is. It is becoming such an amazing place. I can't say. I've traveled a lot of the world, and I always feel like gravitating back.
Have you been to Lithuania?
No, but it's on the list because I work with a lot of companies that are based in Lithuania. It's becoming a hotspot for startups, and it's meant to be very good.
Yeah, peaceful there. I like it. Kamil, I know you are Pakistani.
Yeah.
How about, what's your favorite Pakistani dish? I've never had Pakistani food. If I'm going to go try something, what do I need to sit down and order?
Okay, good. That's a very good question, man. I like that question. I've never been asked that before. So, okay, this is a very traditional dish. It's like it's what we eat. It's not very popular anymore, but it's the traditional dish. It's called sagwala. So It's a spinach dish. So it's basically lots of spinach, and it's in a nice flavorsome sauce with chicken or cheese they put in it. But that's the one that you should have. because a lot of people gonna say have, chicken cries nice, lamb cries nice, but chicken saag is the one for me. That is my favorite Pakistani dish.
Excellent. I love spinach, so I'm right. I got a place to go here. So awesome. Love it. Kamil, as we kind of wrap up here, any closing remarks you want to make to the audience? And kind of follow that with, if someone wants to get a hold of you, obviously we'll link a bunch of the stuff in the description, but if someone wants to get a hold, reach out or check out one of your brands, what are some good ways for them to reach out to you?
Probably the best way is Instagram, because you can see all the other stuff on there. It's none of that BS, that, lifestyle Lambo. It's none of that. But Instagram's good. YouTube's also good. And then in terms of my last remarks to try and help people would be, like I said, just learn to take a step back, be willing to lose, but losing means winning at the same time. And just invest yourself in the process, and remember that the consumer comes first, you come after. As long as you think like that, you'll be fine. If you think in the mindset of I come first, consumer comes later, you will never make any life-changing money. Never.
Perfect way to close it out. So, Kamil, thanks for your time, man. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think you gave a lot of practical advice for people. So I love it. Thank you. And I love the Batman background. I was asking you about it offline earlier.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's become famous in the YouTube channel. So, appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate your time
awesome.
as well.
Excellent. Kamil Sattar, everyone, e-commerce entrepreneur at YouTube. On YouTube at the Ecom King. So check out what Kamil's up to over there. Everyone he said as well. So Instagram. And until next time, happy marketing, everyone.
Thank you.